Hello everyone! Welcome back to my channel. My name is Anne and this is Wibbly Wobbly Book Nerd. Today I am telling you all the books that I read for the Gilmore Girls readathon. And even though I plan to read a lot of books, I've only read 3 that can count for this readathon. I did read more, but those didn't count. So let's begin, shall we? I have them all written down in my notebook because I thought that was very smart of me. The first book that I read this month for the Gilmore Girls readathon was for the prompt a book with a mother and daughter relationship, and for that prompt I chose to read How to Make Friends with the Dark by Kathleen Glasgow. And I must say that I really like this book, but the writing style wasn't really my thing. It is written in first person, and that is perfectly fine, but I disliked that it was in the present tense instead of in the past tense, which most books are written in, and that just reads easier for me. So this took a little while to get through, and it is also... How long is this book? 418 pages, so this is quite a big book, and I didn't realize it was this big when I picked it. And because the readathon only had 15 days, I didn't read a lot. So this got 4 stars from me, and yeah, the story was really well told in my opinion, and I would definitely recommend it to people. I also cried while reading this book because it was just so sad at some points in here. So I do really recommend it, but it is not one of my favorites of all time. The second book that I read for the Gilmore Girls readathon was for the prompt a book with a school setting, and for that prompt I read Sabrina, Season of the Witch. In my TBR video I really had a hard time pronouncing this thing, so I tried so hard. Sabrina, Season of the Witch. Sabrina, Season of the Witch. I can do it now. I can do it now. I love it. By the way, all the noise you hear in the background is my sunscreen that makes noise because of the wind, and I don't know how I can prevent this, because even when I raise it all the way up, it still makes noise because it is just super windy today, and if I don't let it down, all my neighbors across from me can see me filming through my window. And I mean, I'm quite confident in front of a camera, but not in front of other people who watch me do this. So, I don't know. But, okay, Sabrina, Season of the Witch. This got 4 stars from me because I really enjoyed the atmosphere of this book because it was the same as the TV show. And this is supposed to be a prequel for the TV show, but to me it felt like the first episode. Like all the things that were happening in here I had seen before. And that also might be a clue as towards how similar it is to the atmosphere in the TV show. I did really enjoy it though, because the show is one of my favorite ones on Netflix, and it was just a very nice Halloween-y, spooky read. It wasn't really spooky, but it was just a lot of fun. And there are some black pages in here, like here, and they tell the story from a different perspective from all of Sabrina's friends, which was a really refreshing take on how you normally get to experience this story, because it's normally only narrated through Sabrina herself. So I really enjoyed it. The third book I read this month for the Gilmore Girls readathon was one I really anticipated, and I read it for the prompt a book with a complicated love interest, and that is Serpent in Dove. I really wanted to enjoy this book because I loved the idea of this story of a witch and a witch hunter having to get married because of some circumstances, and then eventually falling in love, because I adore the hate to love romance kind of stories. And I know that's a little bit cliche, but I don't care, because I just want to enjoy stories the way they are. But this book kind of let me down a little bit. There were some things in here that I don't really agree with, and I won't go into any details right now because there's many videos out there who talk about this book. And overall, I really loved the story, and I loved the premise of the book, and I loved the characters. but some of them were a little bit problematic, and that's only something that I noticed when I had finished this book and when people on the internet were talking about it, and I started realizing that yes, this book was a little bit problematic. And there were some things in here that were just so very unrealistic that I could not fully enjoy it. So I give this book 3 stars because it just wasn't my thing, even though I really wanted to love it so very much because the idea of it was just great. Then another book that I started for the Gilmore Girls readathon because it had an autumn or winter setting, that was Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. It's currently on my couch and I'm too lazy to go get it, so I will put a picture right here. It is Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo, and I haven't finished it yet. I'm still reading it, so I just thrown it onto the Spookathon readathon so I could just continue reading it for a readathon. So that is still in progress, and those were all the books that I started reading for this readathon. So I finished 3 books, and I know that's not a lot because I had 2 weeks, but for me that's quite a lot because there were some big books in there. Serpent and Dove had 518 pages, which is exactly 100 more than How to Make Friends with the Dark, which is really a coincidence? I don't know. But I did read more than just those books, because there's also some audiobooks that I picked up, and I cannot fit them in with the prompts of the Gilmore Girls readathon, but I just was really into the spooky vibe after reading Sabrina, so I read some thrillers. And I will mention them because I loved them. They are now... I gave them both 5 stars, so you should know that beforehand. But I am checking this on my Goodreads because they were audiobooks and I don't really have them as a physical book. So, the books I read were Lock Every Door by Riley Sager. This book is about a girl who goes apartment sitting in one of the very large and beautiful and expensive buildings in New York City, and then she experiences all these spooky things, and one of her fellow apartment sitters goes missing, and things just continue from there. And it is really spooky, but not too much because I am a little bit of a wuss and I get scared very easily. So it was not too scary for me, but it was still spooky and I loved it. The story was great, the pacing was great. I got it as an audiobook, so I went through it super quickly and it was just amazing. So this book got 5 stars. Then the second thriller that I read, not for this readathon per se, but that I read in the 2 weeks that this readathon was on, was The Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware. And oh my goodness, this book was great. It was so spooky, and from the moment you start this book you are thrown into the story and you really want to know what happened and why and how, and it was amazing. I loved it so much, and I am now definitely in a mood to read all the thrillers. So I guess I'll just keep doing that. I'm currently reading for the Spookathon, which is continuing until this Monday, which is the 20th. And I am hyped up for this. I am so into thrillers right now, and I bet that is because of the spookiness of this month, because it is October, it is the month of Halloween, and I can't. So those were all the books that I read for the Gilmore Girls readathon, and even though 2 of the books that I read weren't necessarily part of it, I really enjoyed it. And if something like this happens again next year, I will definitely participate again, because I somehow discovered that I love participating in readathons. So that's that. So I want to thank you all so much for watching this, and yeah. If you like this video, please like it because that helps me, and you can comment below if you have read any of these books. Please let me know what you thought of them, if you liked them or loved them or did not very much enjoy them. Let me know because I'm interested, and I will see you soon with a new video. So goodbye. Bum, bum, bum.